people validate their businesses and young entrepreneurs start out on their career. So moving on to the second topic, what is the future looking like for young entrepreneurs kind of beyond the COVID era?
Yeah, it's a strange time, isn't it, in COVID? And, I think from somebody who started my first business when I was 14, and I'm 50 now, and I've had various businesses within that time. I think there's been more support now than there's ever been, certainly within my lifetime. And, I remember being at school and you had the options of apprenticeships, career, higher education, going into work in the NHS or factories or retail, but there was never anything in careers about starting your own business. So that's what I love now. I love that there's companies out there like TEG that are promoting and validating. And from the people that I've spoke to, they need that support. They need that validation. They need to know the process of what's coming and to be able to handle the amount of potential business coming their way. So what I always say to young people that are wanting to start their business is really get ready. What's your identity? Identity is really important. Don't replicate what other people are doing. Do something completely different, out of the box, rebrand. You can steal ideas from different companies, but actually do it better.
Yeah.
Validation is the next point, is I need to get organized. And what does that look like? It's bank accounts, it's accountants, it's your products, it's sourcing things locally. Your carbon footprint is really important as well. And then, your marketing side. That's the great thing about you young people, is that you know how to market yourself. Social media platforms, Google, search engines. We don't need to tell you as adults. You are telling us. If I need to know anything about how to market a business, I actually ask my sons because they know all the platforms and they know what's coming. So, use what you can with the advice that you've got around you. I think one of the most important things is, treat your customers well and treat your team well, because they're your bread and butter and they're your support package. So, give that little bit of extra support to anybody that's struggling in your team, but give great service to the people that are buying your products. So they won't go anywhere else because they love the great service that they've got from you. So what does the future hold? Well, I think COVID has taught us if we can get our business through the COVID period, we can face anything, because I don't think anything is going to be as hard as locking down your business and analysing it and transferring it into a delivery service or a click and collect. I've been reading recently about some of the new businesses that are coming out, and diversity is, if I need to change direction quickly, how do I do that? Let's do a bit of forward planning, because we don't know if we're going to lock down again. So, this is our third lockdown and we're getting better at it every time. Especially food outlets, they've transferred their services into something they've never had to do before. And some businesses have done really well out of COVID. But it's also given people a time to analyse their business. Do I like what I'm doing? Is the product as good as it could be? Can I get this financial support to make my product better? And the most important thing is, how do I market myself? There's so many great places out there to market yourself, social media obviously being one, and Facebook and Instagram. But are you on Google? Is your business registered there? So when somebody's putting in what the product they need, are you coming up? So it's given us the time to really analyse our business. So it's not all been negative. I think, financially, and I'm not just saying this, but I think Copeland have done fantastic getting the grants out. I spoke to, nearly 1,000 businesses since September, and they've praised the way that they've been supported. But we do need to now come out of it, COVID securely and safely. So I think the future is going to be really bright. I'm always optimistic. I think that the economy will bounce back like never before. Once, if you look 12 months ago, we craved our social media. We taught, our Facebook pages, we were always on our phone doing things, but now we actually crave face to face. So I think people will go out in the high streets, they'll go out eating, they'll go to the pub where they didn't before. And I think that we will reboot very quickly.
Yeah, perfect. And I think what's really interesting is, obviously lots of companies unfortunately folded last year, and unemployment rates did, you know, plummet really, and not plummet, sorry, they did rocket unemployment rates, and it's had an adverse impact on them. But what I think is interesting is it's leading young people, especially because that's where unemployment rates have been the highest, to become very entrepreneurial. As you say, we're sat in front of our phones, we're reading about success stories, we're reading about these things, and people turn side hustles into full-time gigs, and they turn their ideas and hobbies into companies, and go for it. And I think that's what I really like about the attitude of Gen Z and other generations, is the can-do attitude. People often criticize the attention span of young people, but they'll happily sit and watch a 2-hour Netflix documentary. So if something's relevant to them, like launching a business, they will be so invested in it, and they are so passionate about it. And that's what I think is great. And I think what's fantastic to hear, which we will chat about now, is what Copeland Borough Council in particular are doing to champion young entrepreneurs. As you said, they have had a fantastic 12 months supporting businesses with the grants and things. Personally, I've been supported the last 3 months by them, and it's been great. But it's also fantastic to see the support for new businesses and startups and young people. If you'd just like to tell us a little bit about that, the markets that you plan in, the events, all those kind of things, which are soon to be very public and whatnot. What are your plans and hopes for that?
Yeah, so I started working with Copeland last September, and one of the things that we really wanted to do was rejuvenate the markets in Whitehaven. So we looked at lots of different things that we could promote. We didn't want it just to be a normal market, and the concept that we came up with was a young entrepreneurs market. And this is again based on my history, and if I had a child who wanted to go into business, how can I help them, or who can help them? So the idea with the young entrepreneurs market, and we're piloting it in Whitehaven. So the young entrepreneurs market, we wanted to start it before now, but obviously with COVID, we couldn't do that safely. So we're hoping that we could potentially do that in May, if the guidance is lifted and we can safely do that. So the markets, what they're going to look like, it's about mentorship really, and giving that business, that young person, the place to be able to sell their product. So we're going to have the markets on a Saturday. We are hoping that we can offer some mentorship and possibility of having some grant funding to support that startup business. Validation, going back to that, is very important. So we want to make sure that these young entrepreneurs, before they start their market business, they've validated. They've got their bank accounts, they've got their finances in order, they've got their insurances in order. These are all the things that are really important about starting your own business. Absolutely. Now, I'm passionate about the market idea, and I've spoke to most of the businesses that in central Whitehaven, because this is not about going in competition with them. This is about encouraging footfall to the centre of Whitehaven. So instead of putting it in the marketplace, we're actually going to put it right up King Street, because there's lots of empty shops up King Street, but there's actually still a lot of businesses in King Street. So having the market as a one-way system on King Street will, how I envisage it is, Billy's got a market store there and he's selling his product. All his family is going to come and see Billy and support him. But actually, they're not just going to go to Billy, they're going to go to Tracy next door and Aaron and see what they're selling and support them. But then they're also going to realise that actually Whitehaven has a lot more shops than they realised. So it's going to create lots of footfall. But what we're also doing is having entertainment and music. So it's an experience, it's an atmosphere. Weather doesn't bother us here, so it doesn't matter if it's raining or it's dry. It's about the experience and supporting those young people, and it has a two-way effect. It encourages people to come to Whitehaven because they probably wouldn't have come before, and then it supports young entrepreneurship. We have around about 15 people registered on the market, and we want at least double that. So please, if you haven't registered with me, get in touch with me, get validated, and let's get you going.
Absolutely. And I think we can help with here at TEG, we can help with people's validation. And then, that's why we work nicely together, that we can pass them on to you as well to help from the council's perspective and with your future markets. Looking very hopeful. And it's great to see events returning back as well. There's that side of it as well. But no, fantastic to hear of all the things the council are doing and your thoughts on the future of entrepreneurship in Copeland. It's clearly a very good place to launch a business. I, for one, have launched my business in Copeland and West Cumbria, and I know many other friends who have, and it's a great business community. And you've got councils like Copeland who do rally behind you and shout your praises, which is what is so important. You know, it's important to have the support from everybody around you. So yeah, thank you for joining us today, Jenny. And if anyone has any further questions, they can message Jenny. We'll put her email in the comments, and the Shop Local Facebook page, and obviously the Copeland Facebook pages. So yeah, perfect. Thank you so much for joining us today, Jenny, and hopefully people feel inspired. And if you are a young person, 16 and above, you can get in touch with us about our Teg virtual course, and we can help you validate and learn all things business and entrepreneurship. So thank you very much for joining, everybody, and we shall speak soon.